The cafe that taught you to listen. Real English from everyday life. The sound of coffee and words. It's early. The city hasn't fully woken up yet, but this cafe has. The smell of roasted beans drifts through the air. The soft hiss of steamed milk mixes with the murmur of half-awake conversations, and the faint clink of spoons against cups builds its own rhythm. You step inside, and the door chime greets you like a small bell of invitation. The warmth hits you instantly, not just from the air, but from the voices, low, human, alive. You hear it before you understand it. English flowing naturally, imperfectly, beautifully. Someone behind the counter says, "Morning, what can I get for you?" You answer before your brain has time to translate. "Flat white, please." "Sure thing, coming right up." The exchange lasts 3 seconds, but it lingers. It feels like you're part of the language, not studying it. The words don't float above your head anymore. They land where they're supposed to, inside your understanding. You find a seat near the window. Outside, people rush by with umbrellas and headphones, but in here, time slows. Every sound, every thanks, every cheers, every small laugh becomes a lesson you don't realize you're learning. You open your notebook but don't write. You listen. You listen to the world unfolding in English. And somehow, it starts to make sense. Because this cafe isn't just a place that serves coffee. It's the cafe that teaches you to listen. The language of morning. The cafe is half full now. The morning crowd finding comfort in routine. The hiss of the espresso machine sounds like breathing. Cups clink, chairs slide, doors open and close in rhythm. Every sound feels like part of a larger conversation. You sit near the corner, your coffee cooling slowly. The first sip is strong, but smooth. It wakes something in you. Not just your senses, but your awareness. Around you, English happens like background music. Casual, unplanned, real. At the counter, a woman says, "Can I get a latte, extra hot, please?" The barista nods. "Sure thing. Name?" "Sarah." "Got it, Sarah. Coming right up." You watch the exchange carefully. The tone, not the words, catches your ear. The barista's rhythm is steady, confident. Sarah's voice is lighter, hopeful. Maybe she's late for work, maybe not. It doesn't matter. You understand her mood without needing to know every word. A man at the next table types on his laptop, headphones around his neck. His phone rings. "Hey mate, yeah, just grabbing coffee before the meeting. 10 minutes, yeah, I'll be there." He laughs softly, then returns to typing. The words fade, but the sound of them stays. Smooth, connected, alive. You begin to notice patterns. How people say "yeah" as a bridge between thoughts. How cheers means more than thanks. It's warmth, familiarity. How tone does more work than vocabulary ever could. You write one line in your notebook. Fluency is not hearing words. It's hearing people. The door opens again. A gust of wind follows someone in. A man in a raincoat shaking droplets from his sleeves. He looks around, spots an empty stool by the window and says, "Morning. Busy today, huh?" The barista smiles. "Always. Rain makes people thirsty." He laughs. "Coffee's the new umbrella." You smile without meaning to. The language feels human again. Messy, warm, spontaneous. Not a system to master, but a pulse to join. Behind you, someone says, "Could I grab a napkin?" And another voice replies, "Sure, here you go." You realize how much kindness hides inside everyday speech. How every sure, here, and thanks is a thread that keeps the world together. Your coffee's almost gone now. The noise rises, but you're calm. You're not outside of English anymore. You're inside it, like the smell of coffee in the air. Impossible to separate from everything else. You close your notebook, lean back, and listen again. And for the first time, you don't feel like a student. You feel like you belong. Conversations in motion. The cafe is fully alive now. The morning has turned into rhythm. Spoons, laughter, doorbells, footsteps, and the heartbeat of voices moving in layers. You don't realize it yet, but this soundscape is teaching you more English than any textbook ever could. At the counter, a new customer walks in. "Hey, can I get a cappuccino and a croissant to go?" "Sure," says the barista. "That's $5.50. The customer laughs. $5.50 for freedom and caffeine? Worth it. They both laugh. It's not the words, it's the timing. The humor in rhythm, not vocabulary. You hear it. You feel it. Behind you, two friends sit across from each other, deep in conversation. "So, you told him that?" "Of course I did. Someone had to." "And what did he say?" "He just stood there, completely silent." "No way." "Yes way." They laugh. One sips coffee, the other leans in. The scene feels alive, spontaneous. You're not focusing on grammar. You're absorbing cadence. The rising tone of disbelief, the falling tone of emphasis. English doesn't just speak, it moves. A barista calls out, "Flat white for Sarah." You glance up. Sarah from earlier waves. You hear the small kindness in her "thank you." Warm, genuine, familiar. You start noticing how English lives between lines. The "hey," the "right," the "I know." These aren't just filler words, they're glue, connecting people to each other. At the far end, an older man sits with a newspaper. He looks up suddenly and says to the barista, "Excuse me, could I get some more sugar?" "Of course." "Thank you kindly." She smiles. "No worries." You write it down in your notebook. No worries. 2 words, 10 meanings. No anger, no formality. Just reassurance, empathy, balance. It's one of those phrases that sounds simple until you feel it being used. The cafe door opens again, and the sound of rain drifts in with a new voice. A woman on the phone walks in saying, "Yeah, I'm here now. It's cozy. I'll grab us a table." She sits, takes a deep breath, and looks around like the place already knows her. You realize this cafe doesn't just sell coffee. It sells comfort in language, safety in conversation, rhythm in repetition. Every order, every laugh, every cheers and thanks, mate, becomes another drop in the ocean of understanding you're starting to swim in. You stop trying to study. You start to listen. The rain outside keeps falling. Inside, the sound of English keeps moving. A language of small kindnesses and constant connection. You take another sip of your coffee. And just like that, another lesson begins. The sound beneath the words. The cafe is quieter now. The morning rush has passed, leaving behind soft echoes. The hum of the fridge, the faint tapping of rain on the windows, and the steady murmur of voices that no longer need to hurry. You sit back in your chair, half-empty cup in front of you, notebook open but blank. You're not here to write anymore. You're here to listen differently. At the next table, 2 older women are talking. Their voices overlap, weaving in and out of each other's sentences. "So, I told her..." "Wait, the same one from last week?" "Yes, the same one." They laugh, interrupt, finish each other's thoughts. It's messy. It's beautiful. It's real English. Not perfect, but alive. You notice how much happens in tone. The rise of surprise, the fall of sympathy, the rhythm of laughter. You don't need to translate. You feel every sound. The barista wipes down the counter. Her cloth moves in small circular motions, and you hear her humming softly. A song without words. Even that becomes language. A man at the far corner stirs his coffee absent-mindedly, the spoon tapping the cup in a steady rhythm. You find yourself counting the beats. It sounds almost like a metronome for the entire cafe. Steady, grounding, calm. You begin to realize that English, like music, lives in space, not just sound. The pauses matter. The silence between "how are you" and "I'm fine." The hesitation before "well." The soft sigh before "anyway." These are the moments where emotion hides. The real fluency no one teaches. A couple sits near the window speaking in low tones. "I miss those days," she says. "Yeah," he answers. "Me too." 2 words. A universe of meaning. You write it in your notebook. Fluency isn't how much you say. It's how deeply you understand what's unsaid. The barista breaks the quiet rhythm. "Another cappuccino?" she asks someone off screen. "Yeah, please, one more before I go." "Sure thing." You look around. The cafe has turned into a living classroom. Every detail, every sound, every human exchange teaching you something language books never could. The rain outside has softened to a whisper now. A bus passes. Someone laughs from the other room. The world keeps speaking, even when no one is talking. And in this silence filled with life, you realize something simple but powerful. You don't need to learn English anymore. You just need to listen to it breathe. The conversation that stayed. The door opens again, letting in a rush of cold air and the faint scent of rain. A new customer walks in. An older man, worn coat, kind face. He greets the barista by name. "Morning, Lila." She smiles. "Morning, Mr. Parker." "Usual?" "You know me too well." He takes his seat by the window. The same one every day, you can tell. He opens a small book, its pages yellowed and soft. The way he handles it feels reverent, like it's something precious. You watch him for a moment, then go back to your coffee. But his voice pulls you in. He's not reading silently. He's murmuring the words under his breath. Slow, careful, deliberate. Lila brings over his drink. "Here you go. 1 flat white, extra hot." "Perfect, thank you." He looks up. "You ever notice how people sound different when they talk to someone they care about?" She tilts her head. "How do you mean?" "Well," he says, "they don't just use words. They use tone, pauses, breath. It's what makes talking alive." Lila smiles. "You mean like music?" He nods. "Exactly. You find yourself leaning in. You're not eavesdropping. You're learning." There's something about his voice. Gentle, thoughtful, like every word has been lived before being spoken. She laughs softly. "Guess that's why I like working here. You hear so many ways of speaking." He smiles. "And listening too. That's rarer." She leaves to serve another customer, but he keeps talking quietly. Maybe to himself now. You can tell who listens by how they answer. The ones who rush to reply, they only hear words. The ones who pause, they hear people. You feel something shift inside. It's not about English anymore. It's about attention, empathy, connection. You write in your notebook, "To understand a language, listen like you care." The rain starts again, light and rhythmic. The cafe fills with a warm glow from the overhead lights. The sound of milk steaming, the clatter of cups, and the hum of conversation weave together into something almost musical. Mr. Parker turns another page, then glances your way. "You're writing, aren't you?" You nod. "Trying to." He smiles. "Good. Just don't write what you hear. Write what it feels like." You pause. "Feels like?" "Yeah," he says. "Words are just noise until you give them life." You don't reply. You just listen. Because he's right. Maybe fluency was never about how much you can say, but how deeply you can feel what's said to you. He returns to his book, and you sit there in the gentle hum of the cafe, realizing that this old man, this stranger, has just given you the real lesson you came here for. You didn't come for coffee. You came to learn how to listen. The cafe as a mirror. Afternoon light filters through the wide glass window, scattering soft golden patterns across the wooden tables. The rain has stopped. Outside, the street gleams. People walk faster now, life returning to its usual rhythm. But inside, time still moves differently. You notice new faces, a group of students huddled over laptops, whispering through notes and laughter. A couple sharing a slice of cake. Two workers in uniforms drinking coffee in silence, their hands wrapped around the warmth of their mugs. Each table feels like a different language lesson. Not about grammar, but about being human. You start to notice how people use sound to mean more than words ever could. The sigh before a sentence. The that says, "I'm listening." The laughter that erases distance. You realize you've been surrounded by meaning all along. It just didn't wear subtitles. The door opens again. A man in a suit steps in, tapping water off his shoes. "Afternoon," he says, breathless but polite. "Hey there," the barista replies. "Same as usual?" "You know me too well." "Flat white and a muffin, right?" He grins. "You read my mind." You smile to yourself. There's something universal about routine. The way people repeat small rituals to make the world feel safe. Your notebook is open again, but now it's full. Not with vocabulary lists, but with pieces of real life. Coffee talk, comfort. Fluency hides in routine. Tone words. Across the cafe, someone laughs loudly, the kind of laugh that makes everyone turn and smile. For a moment, the entire room feels connected. Strangers sharing a single rhythm. You write one more line. Everyday English isn't about speaking perfectly. It's about sounding human. The barista, Lila, catches your eye. "You're still here," she says, smiling. You nod. "Yeah, I guess I like the sound of this place." She laughs. "Most people do. It's honest." Her answer stays with you. Maybe that's the real lesson. That language doesn't exist in dictionaries. It lives in honesty, in imperfection, in shared space. You look around again. The cafe isn't a classroom anymore. It's a reflection of real life, real voices, real emotion. You came here to learn English, but what you're really learning is listening to people being themselves. The sound of the milk frother begins again. The hum of quiet laughter drifts across the room. You close your notebook. You've already written enough. Because sometimes, the most fluent thing you can do is simply listen. When the world speaks, you stand to leave, slipping your notebook into your bag. The cafe's bell rings softly as you push open the door, and the sound feels like a quiet goodbye. Outside, the air smells fresh, the kind of clean that only follows rain. The street is alive again. Buses passing, voices blending, footsteps crossing puddles. You stop for a moment on the sidewalk, letting the rhythm of the city wrap around you. Conversations drift by in fragments, words, laughter, sighs, and silence. A woman on the phone says, "I'll call you back when I get there." Two men laugh over something small, one saying, "Mate, you're impossible." A mother says softly, "Hold my hand, love." You hear every phrase, not as grammar, but as life. It feels like the cafe followed you outside, like the world itself has become a teacher. You start walking. The puddles reflect the light from passing cars, and you realize the rhythm of the city is the same rhythm as the cafe. Heartbeat, pause, connection. The difference is only scale. You pass a bus stop. A teenager leans against the pole, headphones in, mouthing lyrics. A man next to him says to no one in particular, "Weather's all over the place today." You smile. You could answer. You could join in. But you don't need to. You already belong to the sound. You reach a small park. The grass is still damp, the benches glistening. Birds call out from the trees, and somewhere nearby, someone laughs. That same laugh that filled the cafe a few hours ago. You sit on a bench, close your eyes, and listen again. The hum of cars, the distant conversations, the wind moving through leaves. Every sound feels like part of a language. Not English, not Portuguese, not any single tongue. Just connection. You think about the old man's words. Don't write what you hear. Write what it feels like. You understand them now. You don't need to analyze language anymore. You need to feel it, in tone, rhythm, and emotion. Your phone buzzes. A message from a friend. Coffee later? You smile and type, always. You pause before hitting send, realizing something. That single word, always, carries an entire mood, an entire relationship, an entire life of language behind it. Because fluency isn't about building sentences, it's about building meaning. You look around once more, the cafe in the distance, the world in motion. You realize it's all one endless classroom. The barista, the strangers, the city, the sound. Every voice, every silence, every word has been teaching you to listen. The sound of understanding. You return the next morning. Same cafe. Same bell above the door. Same scent of coffee and warmth. But something is different. Not in the place, but in you. The barista, Lila, spots you and smiles. Morning, the usual? You nod. Yes, please. Flat white, extra hot, she says, already writing it down. You've become part of the furniture now. You laugh. I guess I'm a regular. She smiles. Everyone's regular somewhere. You take your old seat by the window, the one where everything started. The city outside is waking up again. Buses growl, shoes tap against the pavement. Someone shouts, "See you later," from across the street. You look around. The same faces, the same routine, but now you hear more. Not more words, more meaning. The man with the laptop says, "We'll figure it out." The woman at the counter laughs and says, "You always say that." Two strangers bump shoulders and both say, "Sorry, mate." Each phrase carries a small kindness, a human pulse. Lila brings your coffee. "Here you go." "Thanks," you say. She smiles. "You listen a lot, don't you?" You pause. "I guess so." "That's good," she says. "Most people just wait to talk." Her words settle like steam over your cup. You think about how right she is. Listening isn't passive, it's presence. It's where understanding begins. You take a sip. The warmth spreads slowly through you. You glance at the window. At the rain just beginning again. The same rain that was falling the first time you came here. Only now, it doesn't sound like noise. It sounds like language. Every drop, every voice, every silence, all of it speaking the same thing. Connection. You open your notebook one last time. You write, "Fluency is when the world starts talking, and you finally understand." You close the book. You don't need it anymore. "Mr." Parker's voice echoes in your mind. "Don't write what you hear. Write what it feels like." You look around. The cafe feels alive, not as a place, but as an idea. That language isn't learned through repetition, but through living inside it. Someone near the counter calls out, "Cheers, Lila." "See you tomorrow," she replies. You smile, because now every sound, every cheers, every thanks, every quiet moment feels like it belongs to you. You step outside. The door closes softly behind you, the bell ringing once. The rain continues its song. And in that moment, you realize the truth. The cafe didn't teach you English. It taught you how to listen.